Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamerica.com. We are in our 24th year on Voice America. I've been on many other programs on many networks, but this has been the long-standing one, and I'm very proud to be here. This is the program that shows you how to turn your problems into solutions and your obstacles into opportunities and make your dreams come true. And here's what we're talking about today. Most people live lives of frustration, disappointment, and inexplicable holdbacks, otherwise known as procrastination, depression, anxiety, and other lifestyle limitations that often show up in the workplace as what is now called the imposter syndrome, and it shows up in our personal life as well. Why does this happen? Because many of us are living with the unconscious holdbacks that we're just not aware of, that we learn very early in our lives. So today we have on two amazing coaches and best-selling authors. Their book is Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. And this is written by master executive coaches, PhD psychologists, and longtime married couple, Judith Sherven and Jim Sniechowski. And today they'll give you 33 short, life-changing facts, maybe not all 33, but a lot of them, that will show you how to move from the unconscious imprisonment, often trapped in life, to being self-directed and more liberated. All right? And welcome, Judith and Jim.
Thank you, Patricia. Good afternoon to you
And wonderful to see you.
again. Yes,
There
We
we
Zoom
go.
is really something.
Yes, and I've interviewed Judith and Jim, and I have their past books. You're the author of 8 books, and I have several of them, and it's been a while, so I'm glad we can talk about this book. Um, let me say a couple of other things that Judith and Jim, as I said, are best-selling authors of 8 books, and they have more than 70 years of combined experience of helping people break through their personal barriers to liberation and success in various areas of life, including professional success as well as love and real romance. And they've both been on many television series, so they've both been and are actors. And again, they are also Los Angeles Times bestselling authors of 8 books, including What Really Killed Whitney Houston. And Jim is the author of his Leaving Home trilogy, prize-winning novels, Worship of Hollow Gods, and An Ambition to Belonging and When Angels Die. So there you go. There's so much more. And they've been executive coaches for many years and also have a learning and development audio program, which is being fabulous in business. So let's get right to it. First of all, how did you come upon this whole idea of the fear of being fabulous? Were you working with people in companies or coaching and just finding that even successful people were having a lot of fears? How did you get to this?
Well, I want everybody to understand that Jim and I met on a blind date, and we discovered that both of us had been actors years ago, and we had suffered from the fear of being fabulous
Mm.
and did not push to become stars, did not say to our agents, get me a running part on a series, get me a starring role in a movie. No, never said any. We just kept working. We still get residuals, little residual checks, but we had that phrase on our first blind date, the fear of being fabulous. And we were aware as we kept working with singles and then executives, because we were on retainer at LinkedIn and then Credit Karma and then Unity Technologies, and we worked for a whole lot of other companies, that so many executives have the fear of being fabulous.
Even though they're making a lot of money and they're successful and they've got a lot of people looking up to them. Yeah. What do you think it is? Do you think it's that we're just too perfectionistic, that we compare ourselves to others? What do you think it is?
Well, we are all born into a culture called our family. I was born into a family from Eastern Poland.
Mm.
They were Eastern Polish Catholics, that means something. If you're a Catholic, you understand what that means. And that is, it was prohibited, it was a punitive and restrictive, and thought the world was a place of danger.
Mm.
So since I grew up in a house where I had been very imaginative my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
When they said, the devil is going to get you, I believed it. I created an internal world around those ideas. It was frightening, scary. And then go out to the world, take your unconscious with you, and make a life. That's easier said than done.
Mm.
That's from our perspective. That's where it starts.
In childhood with the messages.
Exactly.
Yes. And so many of the executives that you're talking about who are making big money and they have big titles, when we talked with them, would trace back to growing up in families where they were told to be meek, mind your manners, don't speak up to the adults. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are?
I have to stop for a second because when you say that, because that's how I was raised. I mean, I was raised, first of all, we're baby boomers. The three of us are baby boomers. So we were brought up in a different culture. And I was a very creative child, always curious, always. And here's what I would hear. You talk too much, be quiet, don't tell everyone your business, right? Why did you say that? You have a big mouth. I mean, these were things I would hear them over and over. And it's interesting that I became a broadcaster doing this work because this gives me permission to talk, to have whatever it is, if you will, a big mouth, which I don't even like that phrase, but and to speak up and to share. But it was every time, and I would say, what am I doing wrong? But I think it was also part of the culture, as Jim said, it was part of that whole way. And, also being brought up with my father grew up in an immigrant family. So they came over from Europe. So I think there was a lot of don't tell people your business,
Right.
just keep it quiet. Don't, and I think that, and I'm not alone. And Judith, I don't know if you had the same thing, but I think that was very prevalent then.
Well, I didn't have that so much,
Right.
but my dad sold used cars and we lived in Los Angeles. In 27 years, he had 30 different jobs. Why?
Wow.
Because anytime he felt cheated in his paycheck, and it didn't make any difference whether it was real or his imagination, he would blow up, have a screaming fit. He came home at least 3 times with blood on his shirt because he'd gotten into a fist fight with the manager. And they
Wow.
would fire him or he'd quit.
Yeah.
But this is Los Angeles. Used car lots are all over the place. He knew he could get another job.
Yeah.
And he was also a fabulous salesperson.
Yeah.
But that was the role model. My mother didn't work. So the role model I had was useless, was this man who was blowing up all the time and mad.
Yeah.
So the fact that I won a beauty contest when I was 12, I looked 18.
Yeah.
I started doing commercials and acting when I was 14. I did Ozzie and Harriet, a big role when I was 15. And my parents had to be with me legally. You have to have a parent with you until you're past 16.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they came, one of them would come, but that would be it.
So here's my question. Having both kind of, if you will, the baggage of what you both brought to the table, how did you two figure it out so you could overcome that and now help other people?
Well, it's in my case, Judith and I did similar things, which one, we did not push ourselves forward. We wanted bigger things in the business, and we could not go after them internally. I said, when I looked at my resume, I had like 14, 25, somewhere in the 20s credit on television show roles I did not have to audition for. They
Mm,
merely called me like a rocker files.
yeah.
But when we started working in terms of coaching, we were coaching couples, and we got started doing executive work and commercial working with companies when men, they would be part of a couple. And the first person was an architect. And he said, would you guys work with my team? They're all siblings and we're screwing up our business royally somehow. And we said, sure, happy to, as long as everybody shows up on Saturday. I have no memory of what we charged. But by the end of the day, we had 3 of them resign their positions because the accountant wasn't an accountant. The receptionist hated her job. And they were thrilled. They could still keep their stock in the company, and they had to hire professionals to do the right jobs. And then the next time, the man was a manager at Disney. We're in Los Angeles. He's having a terrible time with his team. The men and the women are having an argument about all kinds of things. One of them being the women expected to be invited to play hoops. There was a basketball hoop at the end of the hallway. And from the men's point of view, it was like, we don't need to invite you. We're not dating. Come play hoops. If you want to play, just come join us. Long story short, we did a lot of work with that team and dug down deeper about all kinds of issues. And we loved the executive work. And that then led us to being hired by LinkedIn.
Right.
We started there in 2010.
Wow. Well, my question is, when you first got together, right, and you had, these preconceived notions from your childhood, as a lot of us did, which is what drove us to our wonderful work that we do. How did you two resolve that so you could then help other people? Did you both go into counseling? Did you both?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we both went into therapy. We've both been in therapy numerous times. And I had my PhD, and I was in private practice then as a therapist. And
You had the skills and the education and the background.
Yes.
right.
But
Exactly.
you know what I always say, and I wonder if you agree with this. I think if I had not had that particular messaging in my childhood, I'm not sure I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I think that really drove me to it. And it might be with both of you that you may not be out there wanting to help people change if you hadn't been through that and changed yourself. So it's kind of like I always say we teach others what we need to learn.
Right.
True, absolutely. And when we got around to, I just want to put this up.
Oh, good. Overcoming, and I want to talk about the book now. Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. And I know you have 33 stories.
Right, 33 keys to creating your new life by leaving your old stories behind.
All right. You want to give us one before the break?
Absolutely. Accept compliments. So many people,
Right on.
when I say, Patricia, your hairstyle looks great, says, oh, nothing, no big deal.
Exactly.
I've been wearing my hair this way for years. Who cares? Instead of, thank you.
Yeah. 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 That was funny. I saw someone yesterday, and thank you by the way. I just washed and set my hair. That's why it looks good. But thank you. I
There
like
she
the
does.
style.
I just
I do.
washed it.
Yeah, I did know I do like the style very much. It's been here for a while. But I saw someone yesterday and I said to her, I love your hairstyle. And she said, well, it's not mine, meaning it's a wig. And her daughter in the background said, why did you tell her that? And I said, well, you know what? It doesn't matter because I love it on you. So, that was doing when you thought about that. And it's like, she didn't have to tell me that. It was fine. It didn't matter because it really, however, it framed her face. It looked perfect. You wouldn't even know it. So I think you're so right about that, Judith, the compliments, because what you're saying is that when we don't accept the compliment, we're not thinking well of ourselves.
Right. for not letting the world in. The world wants to give you a treasure, a
Right.
compliment, you spit it back.
Right.
That's who you think you are in your relationship with the world is, and it isn't.
Right. Jim, what's another one before the break? What's another one?
Uh,
Another one of the 33.
Well, another one, um, and just I wrote more of the book than Jim did, so that's why.
That's okay.
Ask for a promotion. So many, when we have worked corporately,
Yeah.
so many people have said, I deserve a promotion, but it's not coming. And we'd say, have you asked? Well, no, I would never want to talk to my manager and ask.
Yeah.
No, you need to ask.
Yeah.
So numerous times people came back to us and said, I spoke to my manager and he or she said, oh my God, of course you deserve a promotion. I've been so busy with blah, blah project.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get to it. We'll have this in place at least within the next 6 months.
But I think that's all part of the conditioning. And I think also, Judith, it also could be that we're afraid. Because what if I ask for the promotion and I don't get it? What if the person says, well, I don't think you're really ready, or so I think there's a fear in there of the rejection, so we don't ask.
Well, and we would say, they're not rejecting you. You need to say, what do I need to do
Right.
in order to earn that promotion? I'm willing to change. I'm willing to grow.
Right.
Help me.
Yeah. Really good. Good. All right. Let's go for a break. And then when we come back, we will talk to you more about what people can do to overcome this fear of being fabulous. And as you said, it's people who are executives, people who are in theater, show business, successful people. And I think the other thing I'd like to have you sort of testify to is that money is not it. I mean, you can have a lot of money and still feel not worthy.
True. Oh, absolutely.
Although money does help
yes, it does.
because it allows you sometimes the avenues and the freedom to
Right.
pursue and get what might help you. So it's both, but as you said, it's not the whole story at all.
Exactly.
All right. All right. We're talking to Judith and Jim, Judith Sherven and Jim Sniechowski, long married, wonderful, happy couple. And they PhD psychologists and both former actors, and the author of 8 books, including the one we're talking about today, Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. Stay tuned, folks. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone, and we are back. We are talking to husband and wife team, Judith Sherven and Jim Sniechowski, who are a long married couple, and they are PhD psychologists. They were written 8 books. They're also former actors, and we're talking about their latest book, which is Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. So welcome back, Judith and Jim.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Patricia.
Jim, do you have one from the book, another one that we might
Yes.
talk?
Own your own impact. A compliment is more, it's a compliment is really an indication of your impact on others and on the world. People will say,
Yeah.
Patricia, you do a terrific radio show.
Mhm.
Own that. No, accept that into who you are, how you go through life. It will open doors in ways you cannot and now imagine. And now, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask you about this because I think where that's also really helpful is that when you own, how good you are at something,
Yes.
let's say you get rejection, right? You get
Yes.
3 or 4 rejections in a row, and that can happen particularly in the performing world. I think when you feel strongly about your skills, you don't take it as personally, right? You don't say, well, I guess there's something wrong with me. I'm really not good. You might say, my skills are really strong. I'm just not hitting the right thing. Or maybe it wasn't the right opportunity. What do you think?
Well, absolutely. Our next door neighbor has worked very hard to get her master's degree in business.
Okay.
And then in this economy has looked for a job,
Yeah.
been turned down countless times and has given up. She's no longer searching for a job. She's spending her time cooking and walking and doing exercise and so forth and so on. And she's not a client, so we're not counseling her, but you have to really respect that this is a tough time to be out looking for a job, particularly when she's been out of the job market for years raising her 2 children. Her husband's employed. They are not lacking for money, but she has taken it personally as if there's something wrong with her and she has to stop looking for a job.
Right. Rather than maybe going in a different direction or maybe taking something that may not be it exactly, but then working, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask both of you, I want to clarify one of the ones that you said, which was about being able to speak up. What was the first one you said? What was it called?
Oh, receiving compliments was the first one.
Right. What was the second one?
Uh, Asking for a promotion.
Right. So, right, speaking up. Right. And that's when we started talking about how we were kind of squelched as kids. But there is one point I want to make about that I want to ask you to clarify is that sometimes we can talk too much, right? Sometimes we
course.
overdo it, but it's because we're talking to the wrong person or to the wrong situation. So I think there needs to be some, what's the word you want to use?
Well, clarification. Discretion. Okay. And to be clear who you need to be talking with.
Exactly.
As Jim and I both said, we were not talking to our agents and saying, get us, starring roles, push us. So we were not saying the right thing to the right person. We were grousing. I remember complaining to my boyfriend about not getting the right kind of interviews,
Yeah.
but I wasn't saying it to my agent.
Right. Right. So there you go. And so we learned from that. Thank you. This is really so fascinating. All right, let's do another one. What's one of your other 33 things?
Hey, well, one of them is sending food back in a restaurant when it's not what you ordered or it is not how it should have arrived.
You should be able to do that. Yes?
Absolutely.
Right.
And so many people say, oh, no, oh my goodness, absolutely not. We would say, excuse me, you ordered your steak rare. It came well done. Why would you keep it? You're going to pay for it.
Right.
Or
Right. Right. It's like if you buy a piece of clothing and it doesn't fit, you take it back.
Well, and some people don't. We're
That's
so
true.
shocked when people say, oh, no, I don't want to bother taking things back just because they don't fit. I give them to the Goodwill, or I give them to my neighbor, it's like, really? Why are you not taking it back to the store and returning it, getting your money back? And these are all ways of, you need to be seeing yourself as worthy of sending food back, taking
Yeah.
clothing back, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You need to see yourself as worthy of doing that.
Yeah.
You
Good.
know, we're all approximately the same age.
Yes.
That is, when we were growing up, the word ego came into the culture.
Mhm.
Don't have a big ego.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that means all the things, this is not science. This is science in the sense of making it better, but this is not that difficult. It's all around us. Every day we do this all the time. To learn, first to learn, to recognize and accept we do this, we need to change it, and it will make a difference. People will not put out the effort because they don't think it will make a difference.
But it does. It makes a serious.
Really, we learned that in corporate America. You want a raise, ask for it. You have to. You can't be.
No, I want to share a little story about this really quickly. I had sent in. I was working with a company. It was something that I had purchased, but it was a service. It was a service. I don't want to, because I don't want to out the company at all. And what happened was I must have clicked the wrong button, which I've never done, and I end up getting charged quite a bit, quite a bit. And I went, "What is this?" So I write to the company and I said, "I don't know what happened because I don't even remember putting my card number in." And I get this, and you can't talk to them. So
Right,
I get back, "I'm very sorry, but you certainly can cancel for next month, but we don't cancel." Well, I wrote again and I said, "I'm really sorry." I said, "But this is a real hardship." I said, "This is not," and I just said, "This is I don't even remember the card and I don't know how it happened." But I said, I don't know what I said, but so then I got something back. "Well, we'll look into it." And then finally I got something back that said, "Okay, we'll make a one-time exception." I thought that was fine. Then I get another thing back that says, "Well, we're still looking into it."
Ah.
And I wrote back and I said, "Well, you know what? That's not what you said." I said, "And you need to know what a hardship this is causing on me." And then I explained how I use their service and why I wouldn't even upgrade to that big service because I don't need it. Finally, about 4 weeks later, I get another one, and it says from a different one of their agents saying, "Well, we don't give refunds, but we're going to make a one-time exception." So I wrote back and I said, "Thank you very much. Received," which it was. Then I get a note, which I thought was kind of interesting. "Would you please rate the person who gave you would you please, not on the content, but on the way they performed?" And I ignored it. But I had to keep after that. I mean, I had to eat because I felt it was really unfair. And when I feel something, and so I said to myself, well, and the ratings on whatever you call them, the Google
Yelp.
ratings,
Yelp.
reviews, the reviews
Mhm.
were horrible. On a 1 to 5, almost everyone gave them a 1. And so I knew I was up against a difficult thing. But who knows why they might have refunded me because they felt that I was in the media. Who knows? They might have looked at my website. We don't know why, but I was very happy because that was quite a chunk and it really wasn't fair. And I really didn't use the service. So,
And you persisted.
exactly. You
but
were
I will
not
tell you, my friend, my dear friend, would not have done that. After he would have given up after twice and said, "I'm done." And I know that because I've seen it. I wouldn't do that.
Good for you.
You spoke up against your unconscious conditioning that said, don't talk, well, two things, don't talk much. Don't tell other people your secrets. Don't tell other people your problem. You let them know it was a hardship?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, good for you.
And I don't know if that was what did it. I mean, I think about it. I think, well, maybe they checked me out. I mean, they obviously don't
Maybe.
want to give money back to people. So they obviously felt pressured in some way that it would hurt them. They
Yes,
had to.
yes. Well,
And
because
I
you,
didn't threaten. I didn't threaten. I didn't say I'm going to the next step. I did not say that. So, but you're right, Judith and Jim. I mean, but you have to believe in yourself, but it's more than yourself. It's more something being right or something being fair. And look at, I might not have won. They still had the cards. The problem was I put it on a debit card, so the money came right out
Immediately, right.
immediately. If I had put it on a credit card, I could have stopped it. So
right.
that's another lesson for me. So,
Ah,
I really didn't have recourse.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's a long story that I'm sharing, but I think it's all part of, as you said, not looking at it like we're bragging. I think that's the problem. It's looking at it from outside, like this just isn't right.
Right.
And I'm going to stand
I
up.
need to act. This isn't right, and I need to do something about this. I'm not just going to lay down and let them have what they want. I want what I want.
Right.
I know some people will call that egotistical, and
Yeah.
selfish.
Yeah.
If you don't first of all, recognize your own self, your qualities, your desires, and accept that as real and permissible, and then act on it. If you don't do that, you will never stand up. Never. You will always, there is a phrase we use, leaving home is is necessary no matter your age.
Yes. Yes.
We're all
Yes.
boomers. We still have to do it, mainly because the unconscious content, people don't really appreciate how strong the unconscious is.
Yeah.
well, and for instance, right now I'm thinking my mother didn't work. And
Yeah.
in my unconscious, women were not to work. When
Right.
I graduated college, I went back to New York to do more modeling and acting and so forth. And one of my agents in New York said, I would like to manage your acting career. I said, no, thanks. I'm going back to Los Angeles to get married. I didn't get married for 22 years to Jim, but I've been raised that my role was to get married and have children and live nearby my parents,
Yeah.
provide them grandchildren. Blessedly, my unconscious was also busy thinking, I don't think I want to have children.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to continue working. I ended up being a volunteer at a halfway home for girls. And the leader, a woman, had a PhD in psychology. And I went, whoa, I can do that.
Because you had a role model.
I
That's
had
the
a
thing.
role.
It's the role model. And
Exactly.
that's the reason I've done this show all these years, is because how can you do it if you don't see it? Right? If you're not seeing it, it's very hard.
You're right. You're right. You don't
Yeah.
hear me
Yeah.
show you the way.
Yeah. All right, let's do another one.
So, well, we've talked about asking, but in this case, I want to help people think in terms of asking their friends for feedback.
Mm. Yep.
And again, so many people say, oh, goodness, how could you do that?
Right.
And I remember asking my friends for feedback about dating.
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to wait until I was in my 40s to get married. That was not my goal when I married Jim. But when I asked my friends, what do you think I may be doing wrong in my dating? The feedback was interesting. And what they were saying was, you're doing the cliche of being a girl. You're being too girly. You're being too passive. And I thought, wow, I'm also letting the men pay for everything. And that's not what I want. I want a marriage where the finances are shared. So let me start paying for half of the dating. So it was very interesting to ask my friends for feedback, in this case, about dating. And I changed. So on Jim's and my first date, do you remember how that went? The bill came
The
to
way
the
this
table.
happened, the waitress laid the bill down. I said, "Do you mind if I pay for this one?" Judith said, "Not at all, unless I pay for the next one."
That's great.
Come this way.
So
Then
right from the beginning.
I got out into the parking lot. Just let me tell you, very spontaneous. This was not thought through. I said, "Well, if you're paying for the next one, you can call me."
And he got 50 more points. Was like, oh, he wants a stand-up dame. Fantastic.
And we had been again together 38 years, and it gets better and better and better.
Well, here's what I'm going to ask you in our last segment.
All
I'm going
right.
to ask you, not yet, this is a little teaser. I'm going to ask you, what has kept your marriage strong and how do you handle difficulties and conflict? So that's a question for you. And then we'll go back to some more of the 33 things of being fabulous. All right. You're
Okay.
listening to the Patricia Raskin Show. My wonderful guests are Judith Sherven and Jim Sniechowski, long-term married couple. They are also PhD psychologists. They've written 8 books, and they are former actors. And their newest book is Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. We'll find out what makes this long-term marriage work and how they handle conflict. Be right back. Hi, everyone, and we are back. You are listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show. And today we're talking about the new book, Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous, by master executive coaches and PhD psychologists and longtime married couple, Judith Sherven and Jim Sniechowski. And in their book, they provide 33 short, life-changing facts and processes that can move you to being more liberated and have self-directed success. Right? They are also the author of 8 books, the newest one being The Fear of Being Fabulous, and they are former actors. All right, Judith and Jim, now I promised this question. You've been married, what is it, 34, 38? 38 years.
38 years next April.
Okay, and my question is, now I know you're both psychologists, however, we know that things aren't always smooth. How do you handle difficult times when you disagree or you're very upset with each other or there's a life-changing event? How do you handle it in your communication and how do you get back on track?
I'm very curious to hear what you have.
First of all, conflict is normal. Each of us has a point of view. This is true for all couples. You have a point of view. If you do not express it, you are cheating on emotionally cheating on the relationship. If I don't express my concern, which I do, she doesn't know her behavior. She doesn't know the behaviors that cause me this feeling.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I have to explain that to her.
Right.
I have to let her know that's a loving act. I'm not intending to hurt her physically or psychologically.
And so many couples that we work with said, oh, we never fight. We never raise our voices. We never disagree. And we would say, and just like Jim just said, we would say, then you're cheating on your relationship. You're not bringing your full selves to the relationship. And some couples would quit. They did not want to raise any kinds of issues. But as Jim said, if you're not bringing forward your opinions and disagreeing and sometimes screaming, shouting, and yelling, which we've certainly done, you're not fully present in the relationship. So we know, and one of the vows that we took in our wedding was that I can't remember how we worded it back then, but that I bring my full self, which will also include my anger and my disagreements, to this marriage. And Jim said the same thing back because we wrote our own vows. So in our wedding, we said we're going to disagree. We're going to have shouting matches. And we certainly have less and less and less and less as we, are long married.
The longer we are together, those shouting matches, Judith calls it, vanish. Because we know, first of all, we're maturing. What we used to take a real problem when we were younger are not really they finally just dissolve.
So if you hold it in, I want you to answer this one. Let's say that something really bothered you, either one of you, and you wanted to yell, you wanted to scream, but you didn't. You said nothing. What would have happened? What's the risk? What's the risk of not sharing?
Well, it could happen again. Let's assume in those situations, if I feel that intensely, I am not likely to say, I'm responsible. Judith is responsible. Let's assume she is. In order for us to have a good relation, she has to know that. I have to give her that information.
But if I vow not to express myself, then I'm going to find myself holding back in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Because I am not being fully present and not fully married to Jim if I am busy holding back. So we encourage people, and I still remember when we lived in Las Vegas, long before we knew you. Actually, no, maybe that's where we met you. I think so. Anyway, I remember a screaming, yelling fight in the kitchen in our Las Vegas house. We ended up both laughing.
Yeah.
After we'd screamed and yelled, we ended up laughing because it was ridiculous.
Something though, with what you just said, my guess would be that when you screamed and yelled, you were not attacking each other.
No,
Bird saying,
never.
Jim, you're blah, blah, blah. And him saying, you were talking about what was bothering you.
Right.
Exactly.
Because if you start attacking the other person, then it really can be damaging.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. You can ruin, break things up, shatter things. The bond between us, it can be shattered.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I keep thinking of this major celebrity couple. I don't know if I'll name them, but they keep talking and that you hear it all the time. We've never argued. Now they got married later. They're both tremendously successful and they haven't had an argument. Well, maybe that's because whoever knows, but I guess it happens. It just doesn't, it's not the norm, is I guess what we're saying.
Right. I would encourage even that couple to think, well, what are they not saying when they disagree or when they're really annoyed, when they're really upset?
Yeah.
But,
Right. Yeah.
So-
Well, there's always, as you said, degrees of things, but I really like this point of pointing out that when you were, whatever you were yelling or screaming, that you weren't attacking each other. Because as you said, that really, I've heard people that can't repair a relationship because of something someone said to them 5 years ago or 10 years ago that was so damaging that they can't get past it. I've seen it.
Yeah, and we've certainly had couples come into our therapy office and struggled with that kind of issue.
Yeah.
And as you've said, either could not repair it and they ended up getting divorced. And we have said, if you can't wrestle this to the ground, go get divorced. Do not stay together and be miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right. We've got a few minutes left. Jim, would you share another one of your 33 tips of not having the fear of being fabulous so that we can avoid being fearful?
Yes. I want to use a phrase that has to do with the novels I've written. I've written 3 novels. One, they're autobiographical, what I call autobiographical fiction. I took real events and put them in order, turned them into stories. Anyway, the first one, I was 9 years old. And let me go jump to a 14-year-old when I joined a street gang in Detroit. In order to become a member, you have to do something that breaks the law and survive it. I did that. I became a member of this gang, mainly because I was lonely. There was no one in my neighborhood, but certainly not in my house, who understood me or wanted to. I wanted to be a member somewhere. Well, I can tell you that's a normal human desire. I became a member of a gang and got a sense of identity.
And that's why you titled the book An Ambition to Belong.
Right.
But what is one of
the tip is find a group to belong to?
Well, if you find what you want, not necessarily a group, what do you want to? Who are you? Where do you fit? Where are you most comfortable?
Yeah.
I am really comfortable with Judith. Very. That's why one of the reasons our marriage has lasted long. Not just my side. She did the same thing for Judith. We both enjoy, I really like her.
Mm.
I know I love it. Love, who knows? That's a little, liking is like dancing. We love to dance. We like to dance. I
Yeah.
like her. I tell her that all the time. I like you today.
Hmm.
Also, be careful of not speaking out. For example, show you how it's secret. It's really cheating on the relationship. Most people hear the phrase cheating as though it's sexual. Well, it can be. You go to someone else to get what you're not getting at home. Okay. If I come to you, Patricia, something is bothering me with Judith, I say to Patricia, let me tell you something. I tell you a secret that I consider a secret between Judith and I that is problematic. Well, it doesn't take Einstein to realize as soon as I do that with you, I am saying I cannot do that with Judith. I come to you instead of my wife. I am cheating on this relationship.
Got it. Yeah, got it. Yeah, very interesting point. Jim, move a little bit close. Speaking of liking Judith, move a little closer to her so we can see your lovely face. There we go. Yes. All right. Yeah. Oh, full view. You were cut off there a little.
Thank you.
So that's a very interesting point. So what you're both saying in that is that if you've got something to say it to the person. Because if
Exactly.
you're saying it to someone else, in a way you are cheating because you're
Yeah.
not sharing it with that person.
Yeah, for that person.
That also reminds me of gossiping, right? We're saying something to you when we don't even have all the facts yet. We need to say it to that person. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I think that's so important. We don't think of that. We don't think of that. Now, there are sometimes, though, when I might say to someone, I've seen a change in that person. And, I'm not sure that, since they've been in that relationship, I've seen a change in them. I feel like they're listening to their partner more than they have their own way of thinking. I'm not sure I'm going to tell them that.
You may not tell them that specifically, but you may, depending on how close you are, you may want to inquire,
Right.
is anything going on in your relationship that is causing
Or
you,
in your life.
or in your life, that's causing you to be more withholding or shut down, whatever you're seeing,
Interesting.
you may, to be close to that person, assuming that you're a good friend.
Yeah. Sometimes, though, what they might say is there's nothing, right? Or they might not see it themselves.
And then you have to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Fascinating. I mean, we could go on and on. All right, we've got 3 minutes left. So I'm going to ask each of you to give us your closing thoughts of what you would like our listeners to get from this being fabulous and fabulous interview. All right, Judith, you start.
Okay. I would most like everyone who is listening or watching this to take seriously, how are you holding back on yourself? In what ways are you cheating on yourself by not speaking up either with the person you love, at work, your friends, your neighbors, whatever it is? How are you holding back on being more of who you really are?
Beautiful. Thank you. Jim.
Yes. The word fabulous, we were told, won't work in corporate life. It's too weird. It's too new. Too woo, fabulous. What does that mean? Well, we went forward anyway. We coach these guys, these mostly guys, who are, it's amazing. You have a man who is a CEO recognized all over the country and cannot go off to a dinner party with his mates and be comfortable. His wife tells us that
Yeah.
while he's there. But anyway, do not be afraid. Well, that's not what I want. Do not, I like what Judith just said. Don't cheat on yourself. Please, the world needs you. Bring who you are to the game. If it's not the world, it's certainly your family.
Okay.
Look what this woman Patricia has done.
Mm.
She's been in this game 20 years at least.
No, it's more than that. It's like 4 decades.
Wow, 40. Wow.
But
Anyway,
thank
she
you.
does it day after day. Whenever she does it, we have been with her before. She's always interested, always inquisitive for more information around relationships and living life.
Yeah.
Being fabulous is breaking the fundamental rule of a child, which is don't outdo your parents. Don't be more than where you came from.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, Judith and I now live in a home which would have been considered a palace in Detroit.
Mhm.
And it's the first time in my life that I've felt at home in any physical house.
Well, wonderful.
Don't be afraid of being all that you can be.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. We could go on. We're out of time. It was wonderful, both of you. People can find the book by going on to
Amazon.
judithandjim.com, Amazon, and judithandjim.com, and Overcoming the Fear of Being Fabulous, which you both are. Thank you so much. Stay on the line for a minute. You were fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
All right, everyone, that wraps up this edition of the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show. To find me and get a copy of my newsletter so you can see these wonderful guests each week, Patricia at patriciaraskin.com. Now, if you would like to get your positive message out, which we try to do every week here, and you'd like to have your own podcast series, which is very popular now, I've interviewed over 6,000 people in my career, and I can help you put it together. So call me or write me, Patricia at patriciaraskin.com. Remember, stay healthy, stay happy, get the support you need, and know you can make your dreams come true. Until next time, I'm Patricia Raskin. Bye for now.